Hi, I'm Lizbeth DeJesus, and I'm here today to begin the celebrations for Women's History Month. I'm sitting in this wonderful studio with two phenomenal women in Woodbridge Township. This is the beginning of our celebration of Women's History Month, and I've decided that we are going to showcase the phenomenal women that work, live in Woodbridge Township. I'm sitting here today with Sergeant Stephanie Andersen from our Woodbridge Police Department and with Assistant Superintendent Maria Gencarelli, Dr. Maria Gencarelli. Today, I just wanted to sit and have a conversation to encourage the young women and women in general in our township. I believe that you are two examples of exceptional women that are being very successful in your careers, and I think we should use this as a way to encourage other women to follow their dreams. So I'm going to begin with you, Sergeant Andersen. I have a question. What do you love about your job? And why did you decide to become a Woodbridge police officer?
I decided to become a Woodbridge police officer because I felt that I can contribute to the community and that helping people was something that I was passionate about. And I felt by taking this route that I could best serve, and fulfill my dreams by doing so.
What did you have to overcome to achieve your dreams as a woman in a male-dominated career?
Well, when you enter into this profession, you're entering into a profession that is male-dominated. And there are a lot of preconceived notions that you are at a disadvantage from the start just because you are a woman, whether it be, biological differences or social norms. As far as entering the field, our department is civil service, so it's kind of a fair hiring process. But once you get on the job, there are some adversities that you can face. I've gone to jobs where people didn't want to talk to me simply because I was a woman. That happened after I was promoted. People would ask for a supervisor. When you told them that you were the supervisor, they didn't want to speak to you. They wanted somebody else. What I quickly learned, though, were the things that I thought were like the things that made me different were actually, in fact, they weren't my disadvantages. They were my strengths. And those strengths, when you combine them with my male counterparts that we work with, I feel like the strength of both the men and the women of the police department provide for a better service delivery to our community. Fortunately, we work for a township that's very supportive of our women, especially the current police administration. They encourage us. They ensure that we have a very inclusive environment, and we're really lucky to have that here because not everybody has that. Although I do face some adversities from being a female at work, they're not from my coworkers, thankfully. It's sometimes from dealing with, with people in the public, and they're viewing you as a woman in a male-dominated profession. I
think that both I and Dr. Gencarelli can say that we know how you feel, because I used to work at ABC Sports at a time when there were, I think, a total of 4 women in the department. So very early on, it became apparent, the differences and how people treat you differently. And for me especially, not only am I a woman, but I'm also a Latina woman. So that's the second deficit to some people's mind. But like you say, that is actually my strength, not my weakness. So Dr. Gencarelli, why did you choose your chosen profession? I'm assuming that you were a teacher first.
I was a teacher, and then a supervisor, and then a principal, and then assistant superintendent. So I have always been in school. I've always loved school. Since I was 5 years old and I attended kindergarten at School 26, Robert Masenic School, I wanted to be a teacher. I bothered my younger sisters. We played school from the minute we got home until all through the summer, and so that was just what I wanted to do, and I set my mind to it at 5, and I didn't stop going to school.
And you actually achieved it. And what has been some of the things that you have overcome to be where you are today?
So some of the struggles that I had to overcome with my parents were both immigrants to this country from Italy, so I am a first generation born here. Also, I'm the first person in my family to attend college. So there were some stereotypes about immigrants, that I needed to, my parents didn't speak English, I needed to be an ESL student and go into classrooms, or I automatically didn't speak English, which wasn't the case, or that I didn't read well enough or something. And I felt like from the beginning I always had to show that academics was very important at home, and that was a reflection of my parents wanting to come here and make a better life. So the whole time I had to kind of always prove that point, and then you get to the point where you earn your degree and you come back, and this, like Sergeant Andersen said, my field is opposite as hers. It's predominantly women. Okay, so we have all the women in the classroom, and we do a lot of the nurturing for the students as they grow up. But then on the flip side, the administrators are mostly males. So so that was always something to overcome, saying I can do that like them too.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask both you, Sergeant Andersen and Dr. Gencarelli, what is your motivation to continue excelling in your chosen profession?
As a police officer, being a police officer isn't what you do, it's who you are. We often see people at their worst, and how you interact with those people and how you handle situations have a direct impact on the public and how they see you. As a female supervisor, I take pride in what I do. It's not something that I take lightly. I hope that I can serve as a positive role model for other women who might be intimidated to enter into this field, as well as serve as a role model for the female officers that we have on the force. So my motivation is just to encourage other women to follow their dreams and not be intimidated just because it's something that women aren't, it's not a dominated profession by women, doesn't mean that you can't do that if that's what you want to do.
Excellent. What about you, Dr. Gencarelli?
So I think for me, it's the 14,000 students that we service every day here. And I want to continue to learn and be better so that I can bring that experience and that knowledge that I'm learning, in this new role, and bringing it so that I can personally have an impact on how we prepare our students and how the tools we can give our staff members so that they can be better at their job, so that in the end, we're all servicing Woodbridge and the students that we welcome in our doors every day.
That's awesome. I know it is important to me to celebrate Women's History Month because I have two young ladies at home, and my life changed. I have two sons, but I always say my sons will be okay. It's going to be always a little harder for my daughters to achieve their dreams or to break the mold that some people will fit them in. So it is important for me that my daughters see me always trying to be the best woman that I can be, to achieve and not let anyone or anything stop me from doing what is right and servicing our community, Woodbridge Township. They have a lot of strong women models in their life. I made sure of that. But there's a lot of young girls in our township that don't. So why is it important for you to celebrate Women's History Month, and what advice will you give young ladies today? I can start with you, Dr. Gencarelli.
So it's important to celebrate Women's History Month because, let's be honest, if we don't do it ourselves, we won't get the recognition, right? So we've earned it and we deserve it. So I want to thank you also for leading this charge, because it has not been done before that I'm aware of or that I've been asked to be part of. So we appreciate you acknowledging that and taking the first step forward for that. So we do have to be our own advocates. So that is greatly appreciated and noted. And I do have two young daughters myself, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so I am constantly in the, we have to promote ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves. I tell them all the time, and we never give up. You can work whatever you want to be or do, you can do as long as you put the hard work behind it, and that has always paid off for me, and that's the message that I want my daughters and other women and other young ladies to know, that you can do whatever you want when you put the hard work to it.
Exactly, that's what I tell my daughters all the time. Whatever you, Sergeant Andersen.
It's important to celebrate Women's History Month because it's important for young women to recognize to see us celebrating the positive contributions and strength that women have made to our communities and our country over the years. As far as what I would say to young women is that their potential is limitless. They should set their goals high from the start, and they should stay focused and continue towards those goals. There's a lot of opportunities that are afforded to women today, and they shouldn't be afraid to take those opportunities when they're given to them.
Thank you. I would say that both of you are great examples of the women that we have in our township, and if I'm assuming right, you both grew up in Woodbridge Township?
Yes.
So it can be done. And that's our message to young women. Today, we have Dr. Maria Gencarelli and Sergeant Andersen, and they are perfect examples of what it is to have a goal, work hard, and achieve your goals. And they're here working for our community, and I got to say that I appreciate both of you for the work that you do. You work with our future. So I sincerely thank you for the work that you do. I know it hasn't been an easy year after COVID, but you guys are doing a wonderful job, and I truly appreciate it. And Sergeant Andersen, I promoted you to doctor. Sergeant Andersen, I can't even say how much I support our Woodbridge Police Department. I always say you're the first one there and risk your life for people that you don't know. So I sincerely am grateful for the work that you do each and every day, and especially being a woman. And I know that you're a mentor to the other police women that we have, because I've heard from other of our police women, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the work that you do. And if I would say that if any young women ever needs anyone to talk to, or if they are interested in either career, that they, if I may say, they can reach to either one of you if they have any questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here with me today, and we'll be back with more guests. Again, thank you to Dr. Maria Gencarelli, and thank you to Sergeant Stephanie Andersen. Welcome back to our celebration of Women's History Month. I have here with me General Manager of Woodbridge Center, Amy Belisano, and our Chief of Staff, Carolyn Ehrlich. I have a couple of questions in celebration of Women's History Month, and this is my way to encourage other women that they can follow their dreams. And I think you are also two phenomenal women that live and work in Woodbridge Township. So thank you for the work that you both do, and for encouraging me to do the work that I do, and for supporting the work that the three councilwomen do. I really appreciate both of you. So my first question is, can you tell us a little bit about your job, Amy?
Well, being the general manager of a shopping center is kind of like being the mayor, although I'm not John McCormick. But it's a similar thing. You have people that don't live there, but they work there every day, and shoppers that come there every day. So we focus on security and business as well as retail. So there's a lot going on, a lot of facility issues, and it's very diversified. But I kind of feel like the mayor of them all.
The mayor of them all. And Carolyn, you are the chief of staff, but you were also a councilwoman.
Right.
And you were the first council president, female council president of Woodbridge Township.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about your job?
Well, as a council person, it was, I find myself saying to the present council all the time, well, when I was on the council, but it is a stepping stone. I started there, and then I ended up going down to Trenton when John McCormick was the treasurer for the state. And then when he came back and he ran for mayor and he got elected, he asked me to be chief of staff again. And so I've been in this position now for quite a while, very different than when it was with the state. But this is, when you started off by saying living your dreams, this is a dream job. I get to work with people and for people every single day, everything that I do. So part of what I call my job is chief of stuff, because if there's anything the mayor wants me to do, a special project, it lands on my lap. I also get to work on our Greenable Woodbridge program, and the sustainability is so important to all of us now. And then, of course, it's the redevelopment that we're doing here, and we're changing and improving Woodbridge, so it's all very exciting.
So you are in the world of quote-unquote politics.
Yes, I am.
So what have you overcome, or what have you faced to achieve your dream job that you just...
You know what? The most important thing, and I think there are a lot of young women that can relate to this, the main thing I had to overcome was myself. My own insecurities. I never dreamt that, as much as I had my dream job, I never dreamt I would be here. I was shy, and it took me many, many years to get the self-confidence, and that would be my message.
That's awesome. What about you, Amy?
I think that's a really good point. Sometimes you have to overcome yourself. For me, I was never the brightest person in school, but I was valedictorian in my high school class. I work hard. I have worked hard from when I was a little girl to every job I've gotten, or promotion I've gotten has been from already doing the job. And so I work hard. And I think you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it, no matter who you are. And I think young women really today understand that, but there's still some barriers that we need to work on. Things are a lot better than they had been. We've come a long way, and I think the momentum is there to continue to improve the situation.
I'm going to ask both of you this question. Why is it important to celebrate Women's History Month, and what advice will you give young women today? I'll start with you, Amy.
I would say be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. There are male qualities, there are female qualities, and the person you need to be is yourself. And if you are true to yourself, you will succeed.
And why is it important to celebrate Women's History Month?
Women have just brought so much to the table. And even when you read history books, not necessarily textbooks, but when you really delve into history and you see the role that women played as spies in World War II or as inventors in the space program, women have contributed so much to our society, and we just need to bring that out. We don't need to change what women do. We need to just talk about it more.
Exactly. What about you, Carol?
You just made a great point about being yourself. And I go back many, many years now. When you talk about history, I was in college during Women's Lib, and then we started our careers, and so many women thought they had to act like a man to get somewhere. And now we have the freedom to just be ourselves, which is really, really, because women bring a different perspective, a different work ethic. And we work differently, and we think differently, and we need that in the business place. I tell people that back in the day, women kind of had to claw their way up the ladder. Now you can raise up the ladder just by, as Amy said, working hard, building relationships, and doing your job.
Thank you. We had two other women here, and my goal is to showcase I use the word phenomenal because there's a poem of Maya Angelou called Phenomenal Woman, and it's something that motivates me. We are mothers, we are daughters, we're sisters, and we are savvy business women, leaders in our community. And I wanted to say thank you for the work that you do. I wanted people to see you for what you do, but most of the time we're out there. You're general manager of Woodbridge Center, you're chief of staff Carolyn Ehrlich, and I wanted them to know that you are much more than that. And we all are, right? And especially the young women in our township. To me, it's very important that young women see themselves in us, and if that we can do it, that they believe that they can do it. So I'm gonna say the same thing that I told my previous guest, and that is, if any young women in our township sees this and is motivated and interested in the career that you both have, could they reach out to both of you if you guys are willing? I know Carolyn is always willing to be a mentor, and that's what we need to become. We need to become mentors to our future generations so that they can go more and be more than what we are today. I want to thank both of you for the work that you do, and thank you for starting this journey with me.
Thank you
for having us. Thank you. And we'll be back with two other guests in a few minutes. Thank you. Hi, I'm back as we continue our celebration of Women's History Month, sitting here with Councilwoman Debbie Meehan and Vice President of the Human Rights Commission, Pat Osborne. Thank you, ladies, for being here with me. This is our first show, but it won't be our last.
Thank you for inviting us.
You're very welcome. I believe that you are two phenomenal women, exceptional women of Woodbridge Township. Thank you for the work that you do for our residents and our community. And I'm going to start with Pat. What have you overcome to achieve your dreams? But can you tell us a little bit of what you do as Vice President of the Human Rights Commission?
Well, as Vice President of the Human Rights Commission, I assist Chairman Morgan. I do the yearly report. And we help each other all the commissioners help each other. We're looking at systemic racism within the township and policies that might contribute to it, and we're hoping that residents that experience problems within our community will come to our meetings, let us know, and we will attempt to address their issues and concerns.
Excellent. And prior to that, you were an educator for...
Yes, I was a social studies teacher, became department head supervisor in the Woodbridge Township School District.
Excellent. What have you overcome to achieve your dreams? Is this your dream job right now?
Well, I'm retired right now. It might be a dream job. However, when I retired, I said, oh, I look forward to reading the newspaper and having coffee in the morning. Well, forget that. That's not happening. But I do read the newspapers, and I still try to keep up reading in books. But one of the things, growing up as a child, and I grew up in the 50s, there weren't many options for people, for young ladies, I should say. You could be a nurse, or you could be a teacher or a secretary. But all summer long, in our section of Fords, we played in each other's backyards, and school was always one of the things we did on the picnic table. So I was the first to go to college from my family, and I was accepted at Newark State College. And the first obstacle was, how do I get there? My mom did not drive. We only had one car. My dad took it to work, obviously. And one of the women in the registrar's office gave me a couple of names that people were already attending Newark State College. And by luck, I found a young man who for $2.50 a week would drive me to college. That's not unheard of, because my first job was at Atlas Electronics in Fords, and I started, actually I was a sophomore in Woodbridge High School, and I started at 65 cents an hour. Wow. You could tell I've been around a long time. So that was an obstacle, and of course I succeeded in college, and I needed a car of my own to do practice teaching, junior practicum and senior practicum, and I was able to save enough money to get myself a car. So
Excellent.
Transportation was a big obstacle.
Wow. Councilwoman Debbie Meehan.
So I have two different jobs here in Woodbridge Township. My first, I started out, it'll be 21 years now that I've owned, and I'm the president of the Corner newspaper. It was formerly the Colonia Corner, and then it was the Woodbridge Corner, and now we've merged everything together, and it's the Corner newspaper. So that is my first job, and then my second job here in the township is councilwoman. I've been doing it now. I just started my third term, and it's not an easy job these days, but I love it, and I love my community. So it's heartfelt work for me, and the reason I do it is just to help the township make a difference, and
You do an excellent job.
Well, thank you.
Both of you do. I appreciate the work that you do.
And Debbie, I must compliment you. Local newspapers are dying out.
They are.
And they
are
really the heartbeat of a community where people can read about their friends or family members or the town council and what is going on in the town. So I compliment you for keeping that going.
Yeah, I try to make it just community news. I don't print negative stories. I print about your child, your grandmother, your dog, anything that's going on in the community. I try to keep it uplifting and positive, and during these days through COVID, it was a very difficult time for the paper because a lot of my advertisers didn't have the money to pay, so I kept them in anyway for the most part because I felt people needed some good news and some happy things to talk about.
And I gotta say, even though you do have a digital copy of the paper now, I do prefer the hard copy.
Yeah.
It's exciting when you get it in the mail. You know, and especially when your child's in it, you try to get as multiple copies to share with family members. Why is it important to celebrate Women's History Month, and what advice will you give young women today? I can start with you, Deb.
I think it's important because, you know, women, it hasn't always been easy for them through the years. I think as time goes on, it's getting easier for women. I just think it's important that you can do anything you want. And taught as a young person in kindergarten, you should be taught that you could be the president, you could be a nurse, you could be a famous baseball player, anything you want to be. You can't let who you are hold you back. You have to just push forward and just be the best person you can be. And I just think girls can do anything.
I agree. This year for the first time in the Super Bowl had a woman, is it umpire or referee?
It's
It's an umpire.
Okay, no,
No,
referee.
Referee, you're right.
Don't ask
you're
me
right.
sports
Oh, my
questions.
husband.
Yeah,
Get
the
upset
first
with
time
me.
ever
Yeah,
an
it
NFL
was,
Super Bowl
yeah.
had a woman referee.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. And what about you?
Well, I think we should reflect on Women's History Month for a variety of reasons. First of all, perhaps people don't realize that it's only been 102 years that women have had the right to vote in this country. And in 1920, they voted in the first federal election. But we talk about women who have names: Abigail Adams, Sojourner Truth, Eleanor Roosevelt. We have a lot of women that have broken the glass ceiling. Sally Ride, for example, and we have an up and coming, we think, new Supreme Court justice that will be the first black woman. But it's the unsung and unnamed women that maybe we should learn about. So, for example, the women that planted Victory Gardens in World War I, the women that were the code breakers in World War II. There's a movie that came out, I think it's Hidden Figures, talked
Yes.
about the black mathematicians and how they contributed to the first rocket going up with NASA. So it gives us a time to reflect, which in our busy world, we don't do enough of reflecting. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Debbie, when you say women, the sky's the limit today.
absolutely.
You have more women in college than men. Whoop. and you know what? There's that old saying, behind every good man, there's a woman. So, I'm all in favor of us saluting women for the month, but for the whole year as well.
Exactly. I remember a quote that changed the way I looked at things, and it's, you educate a woman, you educate a nation.
Very true.
And it's 2021, and we just also had the first African American speed skater to win gold, Olympic gold, in a sport that there hasn't been many African American women. So although it's 2021, there are still women who could be the first at something, and that's why it's so important for me to showcase phenomenal women in Woodbridge Township, so that the young women and the young girls in our township realize that we are here. We are examples of what can be done, who they can become if they choose to, but also that we are here to encourage their dreams. That if things haven't been done before, they can still get done. I want to thank both of you for the job that you do in our community and for being here with me in this first celebration of Women's History Month in Woodbridge Township. Thank you.
Again, thank you for having us.
You're welcome.